is a presentation of ESPN on ABC.
ESPN, baby. Let's go.
RBC Center, host to so many big events. This afternoon is no exception. It's also home of the defending Stanley Cup champions, who'll take to the ice later tonight. But nothing cold about this afternoon as Tyler Hansbrough and number 3, North Carolina, invade Raleigh. There's even some Carolina blue in the 19,700 seats in this building. I don't think those two are going to be friends for long. We're almost set for the tip-off between the Wolfpack of North Carolina State and the number 3 team in the country as KFC brings us college basketball on Tobacco Road. Big matchup this afternoon. And as you take a look at the ACC standings, the reason being North Carolina has been there so many times before. Well, there they are again on top at 6-1 and already with 20 victories on the season. North Carolina State at 2-5, and welcome everybody. I'm Brad Nessler with Jimmy Dykes. But that one win that made them 2-5 is what put North Carolina in first place in the conference standings. That was NC State's upset of Virginia Tech earlier in the week. Roy Williams told us that got the Tar Heels' attention as if they didn't have it already.
Well, it should, Brad, because Inganatzer now back on the floor for NC State. He's a difference maker for this Wolfpack ball club. He's a general. He's a floor leader and a lead guard that puts everyone back in their natural position. They're a completely different team with him on the floor. Matter of fact, they're 6-2 with him in the lineup.
Well, here's North Carolina. They have won 6 straight over NC State. 5 straight wins right now. They've won 20. They're rolling along. It's the beginning of February. That means it's almost March.
So far, they've played like a number 1 seed, and now they have to finish it off in February. They cannot stumble at an NC State, not with 2 Dukes and an at Boston College still left on their schedule.
209th meeting between these two teams. Last night, the swing tour came through the RBC Center. We're going to swing into action with college basketball when we come back.
You know, a guy who patrolled these sidelines here in Lawrence, Roy Williams, and took the Jayhawks to 4 Final Fours. He's taking North Carolina on the road against North Carolina State today, Jay.
Well, North Carolina State does not have a lot of depth. They only go 6 deep. They call them the 6-pack, but 6 isn't going to be enough against this North Carolina team, which is a 12-pack of all-stars that are athletic, that can get up and down the floor. They average 82 points per game in ACC play. That's the best, and they're also a much better rebounding team, Digger.
And you got to love the 5 freshmen from North Carolina. How about last weekend out at Arizona? Brandon Wright did not play, had the flu, but the freshmen combined for 56 of their 92 points. Ty Lawson had 18 points, 8 assists. His leadership's really helping, but you just like how these freshmen really play, get it done, they're improving, and that experience means a lot.
ESPN's college basketball. Presented by KFC and the new Buffalo Snacker. And Suzuki Automotive. It's going to be a great ride.
Tyler Hansbrough's right-hand man is a lefty. It's Brandon Wright. North Carolina dominating with the Twin Towers down low. They'll take on NC State. That game comes up in just a couple of seconds. Tough to figure. North Carolina, NC State with Brad Nessler and Jimmy Dykes.
Raleigh, North Carolina, beautiful day. College basketball presented by KFC brings us the Wolfpack of North Carolina State and the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Sold out RBC Center, over 19,000 on hand for this matchup this afternoon. Take a look at our ACC news and notes. 8 teams in the RPI top 40 right now. NC State's the only team that hasn't won a home game in conference play. North Carolina's got sole possession of first, at least for now. Tyler Hansbrough 8 shy of 1,000 points, and Mike Krzyzewski's 2 wins shy of career number 700 in one school at Duke. And number 699 could come tomorrow against Florida State. Let's take a look at our star watch. In fact, Jimmy, it's a freshman watch.
Well, Ty Lawson for North Carolina, an explosive point guard. But think about this. He has 28 assists and 26 turnovers in ACC play, something he's got to get on top of. And Brandon Costner, can his shot today stretch North Carolina's bigs defensively? That's the question.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups for a very talented and yet very young North Carolina team of Roy Williams. There is a senior in Rayshon Terry, and then it's Wright and Hansbrough, freshman and sophomore. Take you to the backcourt. Ty Lawson playing so well, so's Wayne Ellington. They are both first-year players. On the other side for the Wolfpack of North Carolina State, a team that only goes about 7 or 8 deep. Grant, McCauley, and Costner up front for Sidney Lowe in the backcourt. And Ganat is back, and Courtney Fells as well, the sophomore. Sidney Lowe in his first year as the head coach at NC State, and this is the kind of game he's been waiting for probably since he last played against North Carolina. One of his finest performances was against North Carolina in the ACC tournament en route to a national championship for Jim Valvano. And on the other side of things, Roy Williams. In his 4th year as a head coach of the Tar Heels, he's approaching 100 wins in Chapel Hill at 95 right now. And of course, in his 19th year with 513 victories, 79% of his ball games have been wins in Chapel Hill. Well, as we said, this one brought to you by KFC, and baby, this is original recipe because this one goes back to 1912. This is the 209th time these two teams have done it.
And you think Sidney Lowe doesn't understand the importance of this ball game? He breaks out his NC State Wolfpack red blazer.
That baby is red too, I want to tell you. I hope you're getting that at home in high def because that's as red as you can get.
You only do that when you played at NC State and you're facing the Carolinas on your home floor. That's the importance of this ball game. Break out your best.
Randy Tilley, Curtis Shaw, and Brian Kersey are referees, and Brian throws it in the air. We're underway in Raleigh.
NC State will play multiple defenses today, Brad. They'll play man-to-man. They'll play some 2-3 zone, some 1-3-1, just trying to keep North Carolina out of a speed ball game for 40 minutes.
Hansbrough on the drive on the opening possession on the baseline, and the rebound is going to come off to NC State and Brandon Costner, who's the number 4 rebounder in the ACC.
Something they must do. NC State at the bottom of the ACC in rebound margin. Carolina at the top.
Carolina plus 10 and then some in their rebounding margin. And that is tops in the ACC and tops in the country. Nice feed inside. Great look by Atsur to Courtney Fells.
And a perfect opening possession for NC State. Not only did they score, they made North Carolina work defensively. A must when you try to beat the Tar Heels.
And here's a steal by Atsur. Gonna hand it off to Grant. Grant kicks out, Fells outside. And it's tipped out of bounds. And it'll be North Carolina State ball. Atsur already has made his presence felt, as Jimmy talked about.
Well, that's my alchemy, and I just learned that word about 30 minutes before the ball game.
I still don't know what it means.
You've got to stop the game if you're NC State with fouls, getting to the free throw stripe. Use your timeouts wisely. Have a football approach. If you're NC State, make North Carolina work defensively, keep their offense on the sidelines, and negate UNC. Does NC State really think they can win the game or hope they can win the game?
I don't know, but your alchemy is working pretty well. It's 4-0 NC State. You've never even taken me past strategy, much less
alchemy. That's the word of the day.
4-0. Ellington on the outside buries it just inside the three-point line.
Boy, his shot is what keeps the defense off of Tyler Hansbrough and Brandon Wright. It's an important shot out of Ellington.
Grant on the baseline drive. A little too strong. Nice rebound by Costner. He lost the handle, and it drops out of bounds. There it is.
Those are the three things I think not only in this ball game, but anytime you play North Carolina, you have to have that built into your package.
Is Hansbrough part of that alchemy thing?
Yeah, he will always factor into anything. And you talk about a guy that his will, in my opinion, is stronger than anybody else's will in college basketball right now. There's no reason for him to average a double-double skill-wise.
He's averaging 20 and 10 in ACC play. Almost a steal there by Lawson. Tyler Hansbrough, the number 5 scorer in the conference, a number 2 rebounder. There he is, the sophomore out of Poplar Bluff, Missouri. But in ACC play, 20 points, basically, 19.6, and 10 rebounds. And already, Roy Williams goes to his bench as Danny Green comes in and Rayshon Terry comes out. We were kidding with Coach Williams in the locker room before the game. I said, Coach, I always have a thing that's a roster of 12. He said, you have to make your list longer for me. Costner misses from three-point range, but the long carom comes off to Grant. That'll be the key with the depth of North Carolina and the lack thereof by North Carolina State. How long, the Wolfpack, how long can they hang in there energy-wise? Atsur misses from three-point land. So they had 2 great looks, didn't knock down either one.
So far, it's been a half-court ball game, and that favors the team in white. team in Carolina blue wants to make it a track meet.
Atzer drops it off on the inside after almost having it knocked away from behind, and fellow freshman Brandon Wright hammers it home as North Carolina takes the lead for the first time.
I don't know if Atzer, with that pulled hammy still bothering him, can control Ty Lawson off the bounce. There you see Atzer up top. And it's the defensive problems that the hammies with Atzer still trying to struggle with. And Ty Lawson knows it and attacks Atzer on the first opportunity.
Sidney Lowe told me before the game, maybe 70% for Atzer. But they need him out there for his leadership qualities so badly. And he got hurt in the game that we saw them in earlier this year, the win over Michigan. He only played about 7 minutes of that game and then missed the better part of 12 games before coming back a couple of weeks ago. Loose ball in the backcourt. It's going to be picked up by Grant. 5 on the shot clock. They're going to have to get it in the front court and get a shot away. Grant, long range. Well, he got the front of the iron just as the shot clock was expiring.
You notice NC State was good in their movement in the flex, and they had problems off the bounce.
Nice feed down low, and Brandon Wright showing why he's en route to being a freshman All-American. He's got 4.
2 big, tall targets, Hansbrough and Wright, that run to that rim in transition.
Costner, nice move on the baseline. Hansbrough will clear off the miss. And here come the Tar Heels and what they like to do, transition. Errant pass by Green, though, and Grant picks up the steal.
Sidney Lowe knows a quick missed shot in this ball game for his club is just like a turnover. That's what Costner did the last possession. Again, make the team in Carolina blue work defensively.
McCauley on the baseline got the turnaround jumper. McCauley, a good score from that spot, and he cuts it to 2.
We're talking about a North Carolina team, Brad, that's second in the nation, points per game at 88. That's how explosive they are.
Green rims out a 3. McCauley with a board. And a chance for the Wolfpack to tie it this trip.
So far, North Carolina has allowed Atzer just to walk the ball up the floor, even with that bad hammy. They could change that and go at him and make him work.
Costner, nice dip to the baseline, but he had his shot blocked by Brandon Wright. 39th block shot of the year for Wright. That leads the Tar Heels.
He is long, long around that rim. There's long, and then there's long, long, and that's what he is.
Inside, Lawson trying to leave it for him. There's the length with the left hand. 6 for Brandon Wright. And the lead goes to 4 again. 10-6 North Carolina in the early stages of the ball game after NC State had jumped to a 4-0 lead.
I talked about the length of Brandon Wright. 6'9", but a 7'6" wingspan, and watch what this wingspan does for him. He's out of position defensively, but he recovers and keeps his body off of Costner and comes up with a block. And then at the other end, watch his release point. This little jump hook that he shoots, he's going to actually shoot down at the rim. Look at that right there. Long arms, quick, explosive around the rim. An unblockable shot is what he just put up.
Normally, your roughly wingspan is about your height. So when you consider that he's 6'9", there's 6 extra inches there on the length of those arms. First in the ACC in field goal percentage. And right now, the second on the team in rebounding and points to Tyler Hansbrough. There he is out of Nashville, Tennessee. 3-time Mr. Basketball. That has never happened before. Previous to him, Chris Lofton had been a 2-time Mr. Basketball in the state of Tennessee.
And now the 2 backup bigs for North Carolina are on the floor. 2 freshmen.
Atzer, great drive. Engen Atzer, nice drive. He adds that as well. When he's in the lineup, they're a much stronger team. His last drive with 14:31 to go in the first half. Ty Lawson for North Carolina already has 4 assists. You want to talk about an assist? How about this little girl with Scott asking Jamie?
A very important question.
Will you marry me?
Jamie.
He printed that out on his own computer, and she really didn't say much, but Jamie did not yes. So sometimes you have normal timeouts, and sometimes you have timeouts like that. That got a standing O out of 19,000 plus here. Congratulations, Scott and Jamie.
What's she supposed to say in front of 19,000?
If March Madness is just ahead, what's February? Valentine's month, I guess? I don't know.
Beautiful.
North Carolina by 4 here in the early stages. Those 2 will never be the same. North Carolina State had a 4-0 lead. And
Now they have cut it. The North Carolina lead, that is, 2-4. Neiman in the lineup. There's not a lot of bench that Sidney Lowe can go to, and he went to it, and they turned it over. Ginyard now coming the other way for North Carolina. Too strong. So that turnover didn't cost him anything yet, but they turned it over one more time, and it may still cost them.
Warner was too casual in practice yesterday as a true freshman. He was too casual with that rebound and got ripped because of it.
Look at Atzer going to the deck with that bad hamstring, and Quentin Thomas will pick up the foul. Great hustle by Atzer.
And guys like Atzer and McCauley, they do not stand for casual play. They were pretty vocal yesterday in practice with some of the youngsters that have not gotten playing time for the Wolfpack. If you're casual in this rivalry, you will get chewed up.
And Atzer knows that. This is his 99th start, so he's seen a lot of North Carolina over his years. The senior out of Istanbul, Turkey. Feeds down to McCauley on the low block. McCauley with the left hand. Nice move. McCauley coming off a 20-point game in the win over Virginia Tech, and he's made it a 2-point game here.
And Brad, North Carolina doesn't feel like McCauley can beat him, so they don't double and allow McCauley to go one-on-one on that low block.
North Carolina comes up short off the glass, and the turnaround jumper by Deion Thompson, and it's out of bounds to the Wolfpack.
Playing for a possible #1 seed in that NCAA tournament is North Carolina. That's what they've done so far. Now the first weekend in February, they're trying to start finishing off that path.
Already with 20 wins, North Carolina. Saturday primetime, don't forget, this is a beauty tonight. Kansas hosting Texas A&M. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV on ESPN at 9 o'clock. Also available in high definition on ESPN HD. Call your local cable operator or satellite provider. We were talking with Coach Williams in the locker room about that Kansas club, and you were saying, Texas A&M's pretty good. He said, wait a minute, it's Fog Allen.
It's Fog Allen. The fog will be rolling in.
Oh, boy, did you see the guys this morning on game day? That place was nuts at 11 o'clock this morning. Can't imagine what it'll be at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight.
Kansas will have to work in that ball game for their points, but I think they'll have enough. But that A&M squad is still Final Four material.
Whistle and a foul on Rayshon Terry, I believe.
So there's a stop in the ball game right there. They get a foul. They take the ball out of bounds. They get to rest. Roy Williams' squad is not in a track meet right now. And NC State, the 13-minute mark, has played a pretty good ball game.
That last break, Roy Williams put in 4 new guys. And North Carolina State has trouble inbounding the ball. And so they're going to have to call a timeout with 12 minutes, 59 seconds remaining in the first half. Brandon Wright is off to a good start, leading scorer in the ball game with 6 points. And he showed us a little bit of everything so far here in the early going of the ball game.
Brad, he's long at 7'6". You see Coach Williams with the assist with the tape measure. That wingspan does a lot of things around the rim.
Second in the ACC in scoring and rebounding for freshmen. Brandon Costner on the other side is the leader in both categories. Now, Brandon did play 5 games last year, but basically the stress fracture in his leg makes him, in the conference's eyes, a true freshman. And he is the leading scorer and rebounder at 16-3 and 8-0. Right now, he's not on the floor for NC State, getting a breather. And they don't get many because most of the guys play close to 35 minutes. Boy, great hustle. They turn it over. McCauley goes right in to the NC State radio group over to our left here. North Carolina State jumped out to a 4-0 lead. And North Carolina led by as many as 4 in front of a sellout crowd here in Raleigh with Jimmy Dykes. I'm Brad Nessler. Series that dates back to the 1912-1913 season. Whistle and the foul is going to be on Gavin Grant. That'll be his first. Both teams coming off wins. North Carolina hammered Miami earlier in the week, 105-64. And it was North Carolina State an upset over Virginia Tech. So that's what's given them high hopes coming into this game and kept the attention of the Tar Heels, because remember, they've got Duke on Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Turnover by Ty Lawson on the trigger out of bounds is a concern.
Great drive, finished by Costner, though.
Again, out of their set plays.
Oh, and a steal by Neiman. Neiman to Grant. And then he turned it over. Oh, that would have been a golden opportunity, as NC State had a chance to take the lead again. Just a sloppy inbound play. Great reaction by Neiman.
A surprise steal out of NC State because they normally run to defense with a purpose. All 5 guys run to the paint, but Neiman said, I'm going to throw a little bait here and see if I can get you to bite, and he comes up with it.
Now the Pack's got their crowd's attention again as we're tied for the second time at 10. Here's Wright going baseline over Costner with the left hand. Neiman on the backside rebound.
And they force Wright off the block about 2 steps further than where he normally completes that 64% at.
Costner with Wright on him, gives it up to Atzur. And McCauley asking for it. He's guarded by Hansbrough.
Atzur at 6'4", and small guards don't bother him. He just gets his keister on the backside of him.
They're going to call an offensive foul for Costner throwing a shoulder on the drive. Good ball game brewing on Tobacco Road. Carolina and State tied at 10.
And you can take this.
10-10 Carolina and North Carolina State. Jimmy, nice execution on that tying basket by the Wolfpack.
If you run a backdoor cut out of a 1-4 set, your timing has to be perfect, and it was for NC State. You're going to see the ball come up to the elbow right here. Now hold it right here, guys. Notice the timing. The cut has not begun yet. Now the cut comes once the ball goes to the elbow. Brad, if that cutter goes too soon, the help defense is there to erase it. Although it did rotate over, it's still NC State got an easy 2 points out of it because the timing on the back cut was dead on.
And the timing on Costner to follow the miss was perfect as well. Ball tipped. Atzur again goes to the deck. Lawson on a jump shot, and he scores. First time on the scorebook for Ty Lawson, the freshman point guard.
I think he's doing everything Roy Williams wants, except his assist-to-turnover ratio in conference play has to get better.
You know, Atzur would dive on a gravel road to try to get a loose ball, wouldn't he?
He and McCauley both.
McCauley, the kick out to Neiman, wants to go right back inside against Hansbrough. Finally found a place to go, and he's found. And the foul's going to be on Danny Green. North Carolina atop the ACC standings right now. BC next in line. Virginia Tech had a share, had the top spot actually before the win by North Carolina State over the Hokies the other night. McCauley has given NC State a chance to tie it up again if he hits his next one, and we're almost at the midway point of the first half. Neiman comes out and Grant comes back in.
Brad, you look at this league, #1 in the RPI this weekend. And this league has depth to it, much like the SEC. I don't see much separation between those two. I think the Pac-10 is just a notch behind them because of how deep these two leagues can go.
Third tie of the ball game. Lawson, long three. Plenty of time to set up for it, and he buried it. Wow, that was just a set shot. He was just waiting on that one.
Well, you see him starting to put a little bit more pressure on Atzur as he advances that ball up the floor, making him work with that 70% hamstring.
McCauley, the hands roll way out, away from the basket. Atzur around a pick, almost had an opening. 10 on the shot clock. Grant has to give it up. 5 on the shot clock. Atzur is going to have to let one fly here. Nope, nice. He got it to McCauley. Great thinking right there. Well, I'd given up. I thought he had to take a jumper, but he knew he had one more second that I wasn't thinking about.
Brad, that's why NC State is 6 wins and 2 losses with that kid on the floor. They don't make that play with Atzur on the bench.
1 point game. Crowd deafening right now as we just passed the midway point of the first half. Hansbrough hasn't touched it much. Triple teamed and blocked. There was a whole pack of wolves around Hansbrough on the low block.
He was triple teamed with a 4th defender coming right on top of his grill. But on the other end of the floor, look at Atzur. Senior point guard, has played in the FIBA World Championships with a ton of experience. Just enough of a gap to get the slip pass and the slip to the rim for McCauley.
Atzur with 3 assists, none better than that last one. Now State can take the lead if Costner scores. Oh, wow! Costner! And one.
Brad, they just stopped the game. North Carolina State did, with a momentum bucket and a bruise to go to the free throw stripe. And I go back to my keys of beating North Carolina. You must stop the game at certain points by getting fouled, using your timeouts wisely, and fouling them.
Only the third free throw of the ball game, and Costner with a three-point play.
He was recruited by Sendek to be a perimeter skill guy in the Princeton offense, so you know he can go to the rim on you.
And now NC State has North Carolina's attention if they didn't before. Bobby Frazier in the lineup, as is Wes Miller in the backcourt. Two guys that started much of last year. Hansbrough drives and scores, and he'll go to the free throw line. Temporarily tied at 17.
Hansbrough, he doesn't play the game to beat you. He plays the game to smash you. This is what he's worked on from his freshman to sophomore year, is facing up at the elbow and being able to go a couple of bounces and avoid the charge, but still get the contact. Again, you can double team him all you want. You can't double team his will. His will gets himself to the free throw stripe as much as anyone in this league.
More than anyone in the league. Yep. He's the #1 free throw shooter, and he just canned that one for a three-point play. And now the steal. Hansbrough again, and this time he's fouled, and he didn't like that one. And his teammates separate him.
And that's the will that I'm talking about, that Tyler Hansbrough brings to the floor. In just his sophomore year, a lot of times it takes till you're an upperclassman to learn it. Stop the game. They've done that so far. The Wolfpack have a football approach. They've made North Carolina play defense more than offense in this game so far, and I think they have negated that UNC. I think NC State feels like they can win this basketball game.
Hansbrough gets to the free throw line between 8 and 9 times per game, and he's just gone 3 times in the last 4 seconds. And he's hit them all, and North Carolina back in front by 3. So a 5-point swing after NC State had led 17-15. Here's a trap on Grant's got to get rid of it. And now Atzer will calm things down at the point. 8:45 to go in the half. Good game going here between North Carolina and North Carolina State. McCauley with Hansbrough on his hip. Grant, long drive, forces it up there and drew the foul. Boy, he had to muscle through a lot of arms. And he's fouled by Danny Green, second against Green.
Now you see the offense going through McCauley's hands a lot. He's getting a lot of touches, and the reason is he's kind of a mini version of Josh McRoberts at Duke, because you look at him, he leads the team with 23 assists in conference play. So he's a passing post, pretty much like Josh McRoberts is for the Duke Blue Devils.
And he is the most improved player if you talk about the best scoring increase in the ACC. He only averaged 2 points a game last year. He's averaging right now 16.1. So plus 14 from a year ago, and he gets a big round of applause as he heads for a quick breather.
When Brockman decided to stick with baseball, McCauley just became that more important to Sidney Lowe's ball club.
Yep, Andrew Brockman chose baseball, and he was a heck of a player. And of course, they also lost Cedric Simmons as the #1 draft choice to the NBA. So some lost talent there. And NC State gets a steal from Hansbrough. And a collision down court. The foul is going to be on Rayshon Terry. That'll be his second. There's 2 guys that the Wolfpack definitely missed from a year ago. 2 very, very good players.
Some size, some experience. Because of that loss and some other problems, NC State's been known as the 6-pack this year instead of the Wolfpack.
That's about all they play, 6 guys. They're the 6-pack, and North Carolina's got a 12er out there, at least. They might have a baker's dozen in a lot of games.
A barrel.
A barrel, yeah. A keg. Got a whole keg of talent over on one bench, and just a 6 on the other.
This kid at the free throw stripe, Brad, is a driver. He's a 2-point threat. You've got to defend him like that.
North Carolina's already used a 12-pack. Sidney Lowe's used 7. 8:14 to go in the first half, and it's NC State by 1. Stevenson on the baselines, cut off and throws it away. Back comes Fells, pull-up jumper, got it!
And it was the right read by Fells, Brad, because Miller had cut him off as a defender protecting the rim, but he knows at 6'5", I've got an easy jump shot over the smaller transition defender.
And a whistle before the shot and a foul underneath. And the foul is going to go on Dennis Horner, who had just checked in for NC State. But we got a timeout. 7:49 to go in the first half. You think they're not loving it in Raleigh right now? They're Wolfpack leading the #3 team in the country by 3.
Front row seats, next best thing to be in there. The real fans of the sport ride deep, so just tune in right now for your.
Well, here in rivalry week, North Carolina State leading North Carolina. That guy better. He's lucky he's in a private box, I'll tell you that much. If he was down in the student body, that jersey might not last that long.
That's not a marriage proposal waiting to happen right there.
So. Frazier and Miller in the North Carolina backcourt. There's Rayshawn Terry on the outside. Now Frazier for 3. Rebound comes off to Costner.
That's just a conservative man-to-man defense, Brad, out of NC State. And also what it does for him, it allows him to be in rebounding position on a miss.
Grant saves it on the baseline and then threw it away. And Frazier turns it right back over. Back comes Grant. Hangs in the air. Trying to get his own rebound. And Wes Miller comes out of the pile with it. Frazier, Thompson, and Thompson. Offensive foul.
North Carolina, in my opinion, just not the same in transition without Ty Lawson on the floor. Now he's checking back in because the last 2 possessions, the point guard play was not there to finish it off.
NBA action on ABC tomorrow. Rip Hamilton and the Pistons take on LeBron and the Cavaliers. NBA Sunday on ABC, 2:30 Eastern. Also available in high def on ABC HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. Somebody just told me rivalry week doesn't start until next week. You know what? Tomorrow's the beginning of the week. And if these 2 teams aren't rivals, then I haven't been up here enough times.
Yeah, good point.
Fells, baseline, got it for 3. Biggest lead of the ball game for NC State, up 6.
And look at the score, Brad. We're on pace for the score to be in the 60s or low 70s when the final horn goes off. That's exactly what the team in white talked about yesterday in practice.
Atsuer picked up his 2nd foul. Excuse me, they're going to call it a McCauley, not on Atsuer.
North Carolina in that conversation right now with Florida and Wisconsin, Ohio State, UCLA, Kansas A&M, fighting for a #1 seed. When that bracket comes out 5 weeks from tomorrow, that's the importance of this ball game.
Ellington, double team, got it inside to Stevenson, and it's blocked by Costner. Costner, the leading shot blocker on this team. That's his 33rd of the year.
And it's a block followed up with a walk of the basketball up the floor. Usually it's a block to a transition.
And it could end up being a 4 or 5 point swing. 3-pointer goes! Fells with back-to-back 3s. It's a 9-point Wolfpack lead. Lawson for a triple. Rims out. Rebound. Wolfpack.
Brad, when NC State won at Virginia Tech earlier this week, not only was it a huge momentum win for them, but mentally they thought, you know what, we just did what North Carolina couldn't do.
Fells will try another. And this time the heat check drops short. And a whistle and a foul coming down court. This one is on Atsuer with a bump defensively, so he picks up his 2nd foul. 5:24 remaining in the half. You think this isn't a nail-biter? Coach Williams thinks so right now, and he knew they were going to be in for a dogfight. In this case, a wolf fight this afternoon in Raleigh.
And again, all triggered by the penetration of Atsuer. It's amazing at 6'4", with a hamstring that's 70%, he's able to get into the teeth of North Carolina defense and make play after play so far in this ball game. He's a general.
Brandon Wright, 6 on the game for the left-hander. Knocks down the free throw. He is not a very good free throw shooter. That is probably the weakest part of his game. He shoots 55% from the stripe. Buried that one, though. Right now tied with Tyler Hansbrough. Top honors with 7. Missed the 2nd.
And that shooter's elbow for him, his left elbow is a little funky. It's out to the outside right now, something that they will work on and get corrected in the offseason with that Carolina staff.
Grant, double team, threw it away. And ahead on the break, and a slam by Ginyard. And Sidney Lowe had seen just enough right there and calls a timeout.
He had to stop the game because Atzer is on the bench right now trying to get some rest. So Grant is not a point guard. He saw the turnover happen, and he knows Roy Williams' squad can get turnover to turnover to turnover. Boom, 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 right on you.
Sidney Lowe knows all about North Carolina, especially as a player. 83 on the way to the national championship. Michael Jordan trying to guard him there. I think he had 26 in this game. I think that was his best game of that season en route to a national championship, and that was in the ACC tournament. So there's Sid, a couple pounds lighter. Otherwise, pretty much the same guy. And an intense coach in his first year. Starting point guard on that national championship team, and in 81 and 83, both years, he was the ACC assist leader. 15 seasons in the NBA, 4 as a head coach with the Timberwolves and the Memphis/Vancouver Grizzlies, and now here at his alma mater with Monty Tao by his side, another point guard from a national championship team. And he says, you know, once you're here, you're family. And that's the way the fans feel about this coaching staff and this team right now. And boy, they'll feel a lot more like that if they pull off an upset here this afternoon.
Sidney only beat North Carolina once as a player, 1-9, and he would love to go to 2-9 in his career this afternoon.
Here's a steal by Hansbrough, trying to go coast to coast, and does.
Atzer's got to get back in the ball game for NC State. They're a totally different ball club without number 14 on the floor. Sidney Lowe knows it, and Atzer is set to check in.
And Hansbrough threw that one down with some authority, as if to say, don't think you're going to run away from us. And here's an offensive foul now on Horner, who kind of wheeled an elbow around there and picks up his second foul. He's trying to get some space for a jumper. And with the right elbow, the offensive foul is called.
But North Carolina pressure, that hard ball denial, and the length of North Carolina at times with Tyler Hansbrough. Again, it's his will that I think is what stands out about this guy. He doesn't have a great skill set, in my opinion. He's a good, powerful jumper, but it's his fortitude of wanting to win ball games that stands out.
Just became the 59th Tar Heel also to go over 1,000 points, most in any school in NCAA, as he needed 8 coming in, and Tyler with that steal and slam has 101.
Think about this. North Carolina averaging 28 points a game off their bench. They only have 2 so far off the bench, does North Carolina.
Fells for 3. Got it!
He is a streak shooter that's been on a pretty good streak. As a result, you better stand on his sneakers when he catches that basketball.
He's got 3 triples in this half. And boy, Ty Lawson, he may only be 5'11", but he is strong. And he went in the tall timber and hung in the air. Off the glass, he's got 7. 5-point lead, 3.5 to go in the first half. For North Carolina State at home. Tough catch by Costner. He made it, though, but he didn't score. His own rebound. And he'll go to the line. Brandon Wright picks up the foul. This is a tough NC State team, even though they're shorthanded as they are every game. 54 career games, 1,001 points, but his team down 5 with 3:22 to go first half. All right, Carr, we'll see in about 3 minutes and change. 32-27. Hansbrough with 9. Fells with 13, including 3 threes. And now Costner, who's played so well on both ends of the court, going to the free throw line. Hansbrough getting a breather on the sideline. Brandon Costner, the leading scorer and rebounder among freshmen in the ACC. It's 5 boards, 6 points. Bradley makes it a 6-point game.
Roy Williams lit into his club during that last time out. We were watching him. I couldn't hear him, but I'm pretty sure he's talking about defense, because right now NC State shooting 50% in this ball game. You cannot win a national championship defending like they've defended so far.
Nice move by Brandon Wright on the baseline to slide in there and use that length and get it off the glass. Coach Williams told you and I in the locker room before the ball game, and most coaches will say this, but he said, I'm not happy enough with our defense yet. Most guys will say that, but he meant it.
Horner continues to be way too casual with this basketball for NC State. True freshman, he better grow up quickly.
Costner got a triple. He's dancing with wolves right now. Up 7. Wright. Rebound. Costner. NC State pushes it, at least momentarily. Now they're going to bring it back out and almost throw it away. And you're right, Horner's got to be a little more careful out there.
He's a turnover waiting to happen right now in this ball game. Costner's ability to step out and bring the Carolina bigs away from the rim as a shooter, big part within this game.
Atzur back in there at the point. That means Grant can play the wing as he's doing now. 5 on the clock. Forces one. Didn't hit the rim. Atzur saves it. Change of possession, or will it not be? And that's what the officials are going to talk about, I think. As Brian Kersey and Curtis Shaw just said, wait a minute. That ball didn't touch the rim. There was 2 seconds left, and now they are going to say shot clock violation. I think that's a good call, because there was never possession of the basketball. When it came off, North Carolina had a hand on it. Atzur went to the deck, but there was never a change of possession, so it should have been a shot clock violation. I think a good call by those guys to have a little confab about it and make sure.
And it's the toughness, the determination, the passion, the gut punches that Atzur can absorb and throw is what he brings to this ball club. He's a general, and all good generals lead.
If somebody would have told these Wolfpack fans that with 1:40 to go in the first half they'd be up 7, they'd have been partying since last night. Well, they're only up 5 now as Rayshon Terry gets his first basket of the ball game. 90 seconds left in the half. 36-31 North Carolina State. A whole half of basketball left, so don't go away once we give it to Carl at halftime. Costner swarming now the Tar Heels defensively, especially Hansbrough.
Look where
on top.
Yeah, look where Hansbrough is defensively. 40 feet away from the rim, somewhere where he's not normally playing.
Costner's going to try another 3. Almost had it to drop as well. And here comes Carolina with 1 minute left in the half. They can slice into the lead a little bit further. Lawson thought about a 3. Instead, a teardrop in the paint. Tough drive by Lawson. And all of a sudden, the crowd is quieted just like that. It's only a 3-point game when once it was 9.
And Lawson, for a true freshman, awfully good at getting hit and keeping his eyes on the target.
This last half minute's going to be vital, and NC State just gave it up again. Lawson. And he's fouled. So Lawson will go to the free throw line, and he can make it a 1-point game.
And for 18 minutes, this ball game was half court versus half court, but casual passing out of guys other than Atzur for NC State is what has triggered the track meet for the team in Carolina blue in the last 90 seconds.
I'm not 100% sure that shouldn't have been a kick ball. But either way, at the free throw line, Lawson, and he misses it.
Boy, think about this other stat. I'm not always big on stats, but sometimes they jump out at you. NC State right now with a +9 rebound advantage in this ball game. North Carolina comes in +10, #1 in the nation, and they're getting a knot put on their head on that glass right now.
You know they'll be told about that at halftime. While Carl's doing the UBS halftime report, Roy Williams is going to say no more of this BS about rebounding. 25 seconds left. 2-point game here in the first half in Raleigh.
Now, they can't turn it over right now if you're NC State, and they just did.
5-second call. So now North Carolina's got a chance to tie or lead at the break, because they're going to have the last possession here, barring a turnover.
Closely guarded call that you seldom see, but because Ty Lawson is a 5'11" bulldog defender at times against a guy with a bad hamstring, Atzur couldn't get space and get away from him to negate the 5-second count.
Let's try it. See if they try to get it inside to Hansbrough and maybe give themselves a chance for 2 shots here as we're at 10 seconds.
Lawson's going to attack that hamstring, Brad.
He did. Tried to feed it inside, and he's fouled. And oh boy, now this is more trouble. You talk about being hamstrung. That's 3 fouls. They've got to get Atzur out of here, even though it really doesn't matter now with 6 seconds left in the half. But they don't want something strange to happen and have him pick up his 4th. They did not need him to pick up his 3rd right there.
I think it was a great call by Roy Williams and his staff to not only recognize Atzur has 2 fouls, but he also has a 70% left leg, so they go 1-4 flat until Ty Lawson attack, and attack. Terrific call by Roy Williams to close out the half.
You know, about 2 minutes ago, I said they've been partying in the streets in Raleigh. If they could have a 7-point lead at halftime against the #3 team in the country, it's about to be tied. if the second free throw goes. That's how quickly things can change when you're as talented as the team in Carolina blue. And Lawson got them both, and we are tied at 36. Inbound play. Grant will have a shot, maybe. Drives all the way and lays it in. Boy, that's a big play right there. A big momentum play to go to the locker room because momentum had completely been taken away. It was shipped to Chapel Hill, but now it's back in Raleigh, at least for about 15 minutes.
And Roy Williams did not wait to the locker room to start his talk because he lit into kids as they left the floor because of this play right here. Gavin Grant's not quick, but he's long, so every stride he takes is a quickness stride, and right before the buzzer, and that's a breakdown defensively again. And you see Roy Williams, he starts right now talking about that ain't good enough, folks.
Great first half between North Carolina State and North Carolina. The Wolfpack at home lead at halftime, 38-36. Time for the UBS halftime report with Carl Ravitch.
ESPN's college basketball presented by KFC. Brought to you by the United States Postal Service. Let your packages know their ride is here. And Lexus and their pursuit of perfection. We'll be back with the UBS halftime report after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
College basketball presented by KFC from Raleigh and RBC Center, and what a first half. North Carolina State leads as we're just about set to start the second half by 2. Welcome back, everybody. Brad Nessler and Jimmy Dykes, 38-36. North Carolina taking the momentum back away from NC State before that drive in the last 5 seconds to at least get the lead. But you know what? The Wolfpack's following your advice, and whatever that alchemy thing is, they're doing a pretty good job with it.
Not bad, are they? I'm not sure what it means, but I know what the formula creates is a chance to have success against North Carolina. Again, I'll have a football approach. Make North Carolina work defensively. That is your best defense if you're NC State is your offense. Look at that, to perfection. Scoring at the shot clock went to expiration, and then the penetration off of Atzer. Boom. Another bucket late in the clock. And what has NC State done well? They have made North Carolina defend them in the half court.
And so a 2-point lead heading into the second half. In a huge game for that man. And, of course, a huge game for North Carolina when they think about 20 wins already and being on top of the conference, at least temporarily, and a #1 seed that might be down the path a ways. But all of that is by the boards right now because we've got 20 minutes left. The key for North Carolina State now would be to keep Atzer out of any further foul trouble, I would think, as well. Here's McCauley. The kick out. They go right back into him. That's Costner on the baseline with a left hand. He had a big first half with 9 points and 7 rebounds. And he's got the opening bucket of the second half.
I think NC State goes a lot of zone in the second half. They open up with it to protect Atzer.
Fells on a break with authority. 15 for Fells. Whoa, that is not the way Roy Williams was hoping the opening half minute was going to go for his team.
Remember, I talked about another part of the alchemy is you have to know you can win against North Carolina and not hope. So far, the team in white has played like they know they can win this game.
Rayshon Terry missed a 3. Battle for the rebound, won by Hansbrough. Lawson, he thought about a triple. He'll kick it outside, and Ellington will take it instead and buried it. Ellington's first three-pointer of the game, and he's the leader on this club. That's his 46th of the year, and that was a big-time shot.
And Brad, if NC State is forced to play a lot of zone in the second half, Ellington could have big numbers this half because of that stroke.
Ty Lawson picks up the foul. North Carolina, with all that depth, they played 12 players in the first half, 30 minutes from the bench. But look at the numbers. 2 points, only 4 rebounds, and 5 turnovers. So having depth is one thing. Using it effectively is a different story, and they didn't in the first half.
NC State +8 on the rebounding department. But NC State had 13 turnovers, and when the ball was not in the hands of number 14 in white, it becomes shaky at best.
Costner all the way into the paint. Now the kick out to Grant. McCauley double teamed and fouled by Rayshon Terry. And that's Rayshon Terry's 3rd.
Very patient, aren't they, Brad? Got that ball from one side of the floor to the other. 4 or 5 passes. All 5 guys are getting touches. Look out.
McCauley found a little avenue somehow and score it. Boy, it's like the Red Sea, or in this case, the Carolina Blue Sea just sort of parted There must have been some confusion about who had who, because McCauley got the inbound. At first he was standing there like, where can I get rid of it? And all of a sudden there was an open lane to the basket.
And he's the only non-3-point threat that plays for NC State. He's a 2-point player. How do you defend a 2-point player? You always stay between him and the rim. And that time he just slipped one in on the out-of-bounds play.
And now he is a 3-point player, the old-fashioned way. 6-point lead again.
And there's the zone that I expect NC State will play the majority of the second half with because of the foul problems for Atzer.
And you also said Ellington had put it up. He missed that one, though. Wright with a left hand. Too strong. Hansbrough keeps it alive. He's doubled, and he gets it out of there. Well, a nice job on the double team by NC State to not let Hansbrough go straight back up with it. And now the officials stop play as Rayshon Terry got poked in the eye. He'll come out and Danny Green will go in for him.
It'd be very unusual, Brad, if NC State can win this game if the score creeps into the 80s, but that's the pace that we're on.
Around that NC State zone goes the passes, and now the lob. But Brandon Wright couldn't handle it. Hansbrough trying to, walked with it.
And it's a great job defensively on Hansbrough. Once he secured the rebound, the NC State bigs kept their feet on the floor and did not go for his head fakes and his guard foot fakes that he'll throw at folks.
I think Roy Williams, if you could read lips, is saying that was not a walk. That was not a walk. But that's what the officials call, and it's the 11th turnover by North Carolina, and there's a walk right back in the other direction. Well, maybe it wasn't on the other end, but it was on the other end.
14th or 15th turnover now out of NC State, so they are at their season average.
Yep.
It's too many to win this ball game.
And again, as you said, when it's out of Atzer's hands, it's a crapshoot, and Lawson knocks down a 3. 15 for the freshman, and they're back to within 3.
But the zone also by NC State is sending a message to North Carolina. Someone other than Hansbrough and Brandon Wright are going to have to beat us in this ball game. The two freshmen, Lawson and Ellington, so far have answered that question a little bit.
They have. Right back into McCauley. Double team out to Atzer. And now the pass was going right back to McCauley. It was a good thought. But Atzer with the no look, and in some cases your teammates aren't looking.
And McCauley didn't spin out of that on-ball screen with a purpose to the rim because the play was there. McCauley just didn't go full speed. About 75% speed. That results in a turnover. Move with a purpose.
He would have had a backdoor layup had he kept moving. That was a perfect pass, although it'll go in the books as an Atzer turnover. Now whistle and a foul on Fells on Lawson's drive as Lawson's trying to take this game over. The freshman. This season, they came face-to-face with a new enemy. Wednesday at a new time, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. Everything you've waited for is coming. Thank goodness Lost is back. Lost returns, 16 new episodes. Back-to-back. No repeats. Wednesday on ABC. Ellington knocks down a 3. His second of the half.
And Brad, the guards have answered for North Carolina against this NC State zone.
Our 7th tie of the ball game. And you're right, Ellington and Lawson, the two freshmen, have done it for North Carolina to get them even again. Costner wheels to the baseline now through a double team is fouled. It's either going to be Terry or Wright. If it's Terry, it's 4. But they're going to call it on Wright, and that's 3 on him. 45-45, almost 4 minutes into the second half. Our college basketball presented by KFC. Brad Nessler and Jimmy Dykes with you. This has been a great matchup between these two ACC rivals throughout. Each team has led. Carolina's led by as many as 4. NC State is led by as many as 9 in the first half. And there's your standings, at least the top half of things. North Carolina trying to hold on to that #1 spot. And NC State trying to knock him off it.
North Carolina trying to hold on to that possible #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're in a mixture right now with 6 or 7 teams that on February the 3rd, they've done enough work so far. Now you got to stay on that path.
And now they've got the lead for the first time in the second half, courtesy of their All-American Tyler Hansbrough, who's got 11.
And when things get tight, you've got to tie one on if you're North Carolina. And what I mean by that is you've got to remember how good Tyler Hansbrough is. And don't forget about number 50 in Carolina blue.
Well, he had the last basket to give North Carolina the lead for the first time in the second half. Third-ranked NC leading NC State by 1.
ESPN's college basketball presented by KFC. Brought to you by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And UPS. What can Brown do for you?
North Carolina leads North Carolina State here in the second half by 1, 15-43. The Wolfpack could have used one of the guys that was involved in the last time out as a baseball team for NC State came out. And there's Andrew Brackman, who's decided to go baseball, the big unit. They were throwing T-shirts out here, the baseball team. He went short. It was like a throw to first base. He wasn't going to have a rotator cuff over a T-shirt injury. So he was a heck of a player last year on the basketball team, and now full-time baseball. 15:40 remaining in regulation in Raleigh. Costner in trouble, needs a little help. Through a double team, Grant came up short. Hansbrough got a piece of it and comes down with a rebound. Lawson all the way, score it. Lawson's got 17.
You know what? He's one of those rare kids that he's actually faster with the basketball in his hands than he is without the basketball. He will win wind sprints every day in North Carolina's practice, dribbling the basketball while everyone else is running. That's rare.
Atsuer trying to answer with a 3 and does. That's his first basket. Couldn't be bigger. Tied at 49. That gets the crowd back into it at RBC Center.
And he is the heart and the pulse of this ball club. The tone setter is Atsuer.
Hansbrough from the elbow. Rebound is Atsuer. And now the Wolfpack can regain the lead if they score. McCauley. Now Grant for 3. Got it! Gavin Grant's first 3 of the ball game. Hansbrough in the paint, forces one and scored it. Well, he's so strong down there.
Yeah, just what I was going to say, Brad. I go back to he's not the most skilled guy in the league, but his will and his desire to compete every day through double teams and triple teams is what separates him. I think he'll be in the conversation for National Player of the Year when it's all said and done, although Kevin Durant, in my opinion, is the best college basketball player, bar none.
Well, he and McCauley are really banging right now, too. Here's Costner for 3. And kept alive by Grant, and he's fouled from behind. And if it's on Terry, it's his 4th. And it is. So here comes 4 fresh Tar Heels. Thomas, Thompson, Ginyard. Actually, it's 5 coming in.
And the bench that didn't produce in the first half now has an opportunity to produce in the second half.
So that's kind of like Dean Smith's old blue team, although these guys could start for a lot of teams in the country, and they come up with a steal immediately. Here comes Quentin Thomas playing the point now. Thompson scores from the outside. Deon Thompson's first basket. So they've already matched what they did in the first half, point total wise. The bench, that is Thompson, the 6'8" freshman out of California, knocks down his first field goal.
That's the depth they had to go to last week with their win over Arizona, and Brandon Wright not on the floor was those 2 freshmen.
Horner, his first basket gives NC State the lead back. 13 minutes and change as we seesaw back and forth.
Back to man, and they have not tried to attack Atsuer off of the bounce and try to get him in foul problems. On North Carolina, I take a run at him right here. They got him isolated.
They give it up, though. And that's Quentin Thomas on the drive. Swatted out of there. And it'll be North Carolina ball.
See this last play by Horner. The defense gambles on him, so he's got a driving alley to the lane, and he pulls up and knocks one down. So he's grown up a little bit in this ball game, and Brackman says, I used to make those kind of plays.
Yes, he did. 1 point NC State lead. No good by Stevenson, but he's going to go to the free throw line. Stevenson fouled by Horner, and that's his fourth. Sidney Lowe looks down on that bench and says, I don't have much to go to here. And he's going to bring Costner back in with Horner with 4 personals. Costner's only got 1 and got a quick breather. They need him on the court on both ends anyway. So Alex Stevenson will go to the free throw line.
This is a kid that has gotten every day better in practice. 65 practices so far this year for North Carolina. 65 days for him to go up against the likes of Tyler Hansbrough and Brandon Wright. And he is a rebound waiting to happen. 1 every minute 45 that he's on the floor right now.
I think it was Digger that was talking about this morning on College Game Day. These guys aren't freshmen anymore. You can call them freshmen, but when you play 22 games, you're pretty close to being a sophomore now. And this is one of those guys, part of the future of North Carolina basketball. Threw up 2 bricks, though, from the free throw line. No change in the score.
Keep it a half-court game right now after NC State. You're trying to get this thing down to 4-minute segments, and you've got 3 of them to go.
Oh, what a cut by Atzer, and what a look by McCauley. You can't throw it any better. And I think that's McCauley saying, you remember that backdoor cut that I didn't go to the basket? Here's some payback there, brother.
Talked about McCauley being like Josh McRoberts. He's a post guy that has a point mentality. Look at this. Reads it. The slip by Atzer. Terrific bounce pass because Atzer's going full speed and the ball bounces up at belt level so Atzer can take it and without stride complete the 3-point play.
And all of Atzer's 6 points have come of this half. 4-point North Carolina State lead. Number 3 team in the country with their hands full on the road.
They have kept Tyler Hansbrough in check in this ball game so far.
And he didn't get the jumper from the baseline either, and the rebound comes off to Neiman.
Look at Atzer use his keister as a pressure release against a much quicker Thomas. 6'4", just backs him in. That's an experienced point guard play with a bad hamstring, number 14 in white.
Here he is with Thomas on it. Grant's going to hoist a 3.
Got it! Grant's second 3 of the half. 7-point lead, North Carolina State.
Conservative man-to-man defense, taking away driving angles for North Carolina in the half court. All 5 white jerseys inside that 3-point line.
Thomas had it swiped away, and it's Grant on the break. Oh, and a 180. They got to play a hockey game here tonight. The ice might melt if this thing keeps as hot as it is for the home team right now.
And Brad, I go back to one of the 3 things that you must do against North Carolina. And number 3 on that list is you must know in your heart as a player you can beat them and not hope. And right now, NC State, I think they know they can win this ball game. But it's that conservative man-to-man defense right now that has North Carolina followed up in the half court. Hold on, partner.
Things not desperate yet for North Carolina, but they're getting close. Biggest lead of the first half has been matched now by NC State, up 9.
And Brad, to protect Atzer, they have him on a non-penetrating guard, Ginyard. That's a good move by NC State defensively.
Hansbrough off the glass. Good-looking shot, just didn't drop. And McCauley with the rebound and then a quick foul. And I think it's going to be on Thompson. 9-point lead, North Carolina State with Engen Atzer. He is the guy that stirs the drink just like that. And I think you can call him Swizzle Stick because he's done it today.
You don't get him to play at a speed that he doesn't want to play. That's a number 1 characteristic of a lead guard. He plays to the tempo, and his teammates feed off the tempo that he plays at. Now, when he's not on the floor, the tempo is crazy. It's 3 beats, then it's 4 beats, then it's 2 beats. He is a tempo point guard.
McCauley at the free throw line. That's the first one he's missed today. Misses the front end of a 1-and-1. And now Lawson pushing things down court, and Neiman's going to foul him as he went in the paint. That'll be Neiman's first foul.
But Brad, no knock against Neiman, but you're better off Neiman picking up that foul as opposed to Atzer. They've taken Atzer off of the point guard defensively. That's big.
Ellington missed a three. Rebound comes off to Neiman. And now Atzer again slows the pace a little bit. Almost the midway point of the second half. NC State trying to upset the third-ranked team in the country. Nice cut by McCauley. He's fouled by Lawson.
It's a timing play again on that 1-4 set. You can't cut before the ball gets to the passer.
13 of 22 been held under 40, and today it's 60% for NC State.
And he knows the importance of defense, because you think about his national title team 2 years ago, their last 3 halves of basketball that year, Brad, in the Final Four, they held opponents to under 30%.
Yeah.
So this is not a guy that just understands offense. He's a defensive-minded guy, and right now he's chapped about his club's defensive effort.
McCauley 4 of 5 from the free throw line, has 14 points. He's been huge so far. Second one comes off to North Carolina on the rebound. It's a 10-point game, biggest lead by either team so far this afternoon. Hansbrough through a double team. Backside is Wright to help out. Wright's first basket of the second half. He's got 11.
Great compliment to Hansbrough's toughness, cleaning up those weak side boards with his length and his quickness. NC State couldn't match it that time.
Costner out on top. McCauley going to draw a double team, but goes up with a left hand.
But Brad, it was a very weak double team. You've got to come with that double with a purpose and get chest to chest with him. They left him an opening.
Neiman picks up the foul, but McCauley on the other end. Let's take another look at what McCauley did offensively.
Yeah, that's a fake double team. You're going to see a gap. You got to come hard and close off all angles, and they don't do it. And look at McCauley. Just read the defense, and with a monster step through, powers his way to the front of the rim.
16 points for McCauley. Right, one dribble, and he has to give it up.
See what Atzer did? He was on Lawson for about 3 seconds and called for a switch so he could get back on a non-penetrator.
And now he's got to let Ginyard go by.
Yep.
And that's actually a smart move. Doesn't look like good defense, but you can't have number 14 with his 4th foul, which was what would have happened right there. Hansbrough, nice job fronting his man, and now he's in the open court. And he'll hammer it home for his 15th point. Down to 6 again. 8:50 remaining in the ball game.
And anytime Atzer doesn't bring it up and use his backside as a shield, NC State is really shaky on the offensive end just to get into their set.
Atzer, a nice pick and roll to McCauley.
Again, Atzer's the trigger guy. He's got to keep that ball in his hands for NC State to pull off the upset.
You can't do it any better than that unless you're Stockton and Malone the way they ran the last one.
Oh, great call, partner. That's exactly what it looked like. And he just plays to the speed
under control.
Yeah, that Sidney Lowe wants them to play to.
Now the pass to McCauley on the low block again. And an offensive foul on McCauley for throwing a shoulder. And that's 4, and that is big.
Boy, great feet and a great stance defensively by Ty Hansbrough to be down in a guard's position and draw the charge. A lot of bigs will stand straight up on the catch. Hansbrough got in a guard's defensive stance, and it paid off.
I got to tell you, Ben McCauley never even reacted with any kind of negativity when that foul was called. He was like, oh, man, I'm mad at myself. So he's on the bench with 4. That could be a big factor. Let's write that down with about 8:05 to go. McCauley with his 4th foul. Lawson around his back, maybe one too many times. Found the handle. And down to 10 on the shot clock. Lawson, pull-up jumper. Too strong. And a rebound by Ellington, and he's going to go to the free throw line. 7 minutes, 39 seconds. What a game we've got going. Some intensity in Raleigh, wouldn't you say? 7:39 to go. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. don't know if they're brothers or friends, but they're neither one right now. NC State by 8, 7:39 to go. Tonight on ABC, 8/7 Central, NASCAR champ Jeff Gordon and Summer Sanders host an all-new edition of the world's greatest sports bloopers. Then at 9, it's first time on network TV, Anchorman, the legend of Ron Burgundy, on the ABC Saturday Night Movie of the Week. Brad Nessler and Jimmy Dykes, as you hear the howls inside Raleigh. They will be howling tonight if they can hold on to this lead, but there's a long ways to go. The number 3 team in the country still has something to say about this game, as Hansbrough will take a breather here. At the free throw line is Ellington. 75% free throw shooter. He's got 9 points. Averaging 12.5 a game, and he's their top 3-point shooter. Missed the second, and Fells with a rebound.
And Brad McCauley is on the bench right now with 4 fouls for NC State. I think they try to get to the 5-minute mark of this ball game, so another 2.5 minutes that the Wolfpack has to play without their rough guy on the interior.
Well, the good news is Hansbrough's on the bench too for North Carolina. Atzur had it slapped by Lawson. Back come the heels. Lawson had it pinned by Fells, who blocks the shot. Fells is a good shot blocker. Courtney had 20 blocks coming in, which was number 2 on the team. Actually, he was number 1 on the team. Well, didn't take Hansbrough long to come off the bench.
Well, I think Roy Williams knows he has about 2 minutes and 15 seconds for Hansbrough to go to work without McCauley on the floor. So he says, I'm not going to waste him. Get him in there. Let him go start and produce.
Here he is with Costner on his hip. Fells trying to help, and Costner blocked the shot and pulls down the ball. Oh, that was big. Technical foul. The officials will go over to the monitor right now, and we'll have a look at what they have a look at. Here's Hansbrough with Costner on him defensively.
The frustration afterwards starting right here. Here it goes.
Ooh, that close to being a swing. That's what we're looking at. Hansbrough losing his cool.
And that was as close to being a swing as you can be if it wasn't.
Yep. Let's see what's going to happen.
Watch again. Watch the right fist of Hansbrough right here. Boom.
Now, it might be a situation where he was going to smack his own hand as if out of frustration, but yeah, we have no...
It didn't look as bad from the other angle as it did there.
It actually didn't. Atzur at the free throw line for the technicals. So Hansbrough stays on the court. That much we know because he's still out there. Atzur knocked them both down. That was at the 7:04 mark, the technical. Maybe just trying to swipe the ball back, and I think that's what the officials feel it was. Although Costner looked up as if to say, whoa, what was that? And that'll be Hansbrough guarding Costner in the backcourt. Some full court pressure coming from North Carolina.
NC State has matched the toughness and the drive and the will that Tyler Hansbrough sets the tone for his club in this ballgame. Again, I go back to my 3 points. NC State, they now know they can win this ballgame. They're no longer hoping.
Oh, what a shot by Fells! Hansbrough through everybody, and he'll have a chance for a 3-point play.
That's the will that I'm talking about, because there was no reason for him to score that basket other than just, I know we've got to get 2 points on this possession. Roughhouse basketball out of Hansbrough.
Hansbrough moments ago, there's a different angle, and again, that just looks like out of frustration. It did not look like a swing at all from that angle.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Hansbrough caps the 3-point play, 18 for Tyler. And now he's in the backcourt with the pressure again. When they get it in this guy's hands, it usually helps the cause. And he and Grant, Atzur and Grant bring it across the timeline. We're under 6.5 minutes. It's 71-63. NC State unranked, leading number 3 North Carolina, but they turn it over. Frazier Hansbrough immediately draws a double team again, and he scored right through it.
You can double team him physically. You can't double team his will. He willed that ball into the basket for North Carolina, Brad.
It was a 10-point lead at one point. McCauley still with the towel wrapped around his neck. They're going to have to make a decision pretty soon on when to bring him back. But right now, Tyler Hansbrough, the preseason choice as the ACC Player of the Year. As Jimmy said, he's willing the Tar Heels back in the ballgame.
ESPN's college basketball, presented by KFC and the new Buffalo Snacker. And GMC, we are professional grade.
6 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in our college basketball presented by KFC. Tyler Hansbrough now has 20 points and 7 rebounds. Courtney Fells, who hit that big jumper, has 70, delayed NC State. Jimmy, if they're going to win a national championship, first they have to win this game. But how about down the line?
Well, that formula also holds true for the remaining 6-11 of this ball game. Tie one on. They've got to make sure they know that the horse is still Tyler Hansbrough and keep him involved. He's got 20 and 7 and fresh press. The freshman can't listen to what everyone is saying about him and writing about him. They better listen to Roy Williams and Roy Williams only. If not, they'll swallow a lot of poison that could get them off track of a national championship.
And Atzur trapped, has to take NC State's last timeout.
And the third one is no long faces. And Roy told you and I in the locker room that they have not had any of that right now. And there's 12 guys that play a lot of minutes. And if they continue to buy into one common goal, which I think is Roy Williams' greatest strength as a head coach, to take all that talent and get them to buy into one common goal, if they could do those three things, they could very well be cutting down the nets in Atlanta.
And isn't it amazing that his mentor and former head coach at North Carolina, Dean Smith, had the same philosophy and kept the guys like Worthy and Perkins and Jordan and all those guys happy without scoring 20 a game. 6 minutes and a 6-point lead, and NC State is out of timeouts. McCauley, he's going to have to come in pretty soon. You think NC State, you think of Kay Yao, don't you?
Well, she's a Hall of Famer and led the Olympic team to a gold medal, and 2 weeks ago came back from a battle with cancer. And you talk about a competitor and a warrior, and it was great to see her make her way back to the sidelines a couple of weeks ago.
Came back to the bench just as Jimmy said a couple of weeks ago. Players with the pink shoelaces to support the cancer cause. And Coach, it's good to have you back.
NC State, Brad, you're trying to buy, I think, one more minute, and then you've got to come back with McCauley. And if Kay Yao could phone in to Sidney Lowe on the bench, he'd probably be saying the same thing.
McCauley's on the bench with 16 points. His presence is huge down in that low block, both as an offensive force and defending Tyler Hansbrough, because since he went out, which has now been a little over 2 minutes, they've cut the lead in half as North Carolina. It was 10. Actually, it's 6 right now. But basically, they cut the lead in half. 5 on the shot clock and a turnover. Boy, that is not what they needed coming out of their last time out.
The ball never got to the other side of the floor. It got stuck in Grant's hands on the right side. And look at these numbers. NC State shooting 63% against a club in North Carolina that has been holding opponents below 40%.
The problem for NC State, the last few trips, they haven't gotten any shots. Haven't missed any, but they haven't made any either. Battle for the rebound, whistle. And it's going to be NC State ball. And the foul is going to be on Hansbrough.
And there were 10 bodies on the floor that had an opportunity to get on the ground, and only one guy got on the ground, and that's Ingan Atzur.
And he's going to go to the free throw line, where he is 3 for 3 on the afternoon. Remember, Atzur missed 12 games, so he had only had 8 trips to the free throw line before this.
That's what a bad hammy will do to you. It takes away your drive ability and get to the free throw strike. But I go back to the fact that North Carolina State plays to the tempo that he plays. Just like North Carolina, when they're at their best, what are they doing? They're playing to the tempo of Ty Lawson. That's what all very good lead guards do. Ingan Atzur is a very good lead guard.
Atzur in this half has hit as many free throws as he had the previous games all season. 5 for 5 from the stripe. And now a foul going to be called on Costner. That's his third.
Sidney Lowe again has taken Atzer off of the point guard responsibilities defensively and gotten him off to the wing. That's what has kept Atzer on the floor and not picking up fouls in the second half. That was a critical move for NC State to do that for Atzer.
Hansbrough shooting 74% from the line today. Perfect. 5 for 5. 21 for Tyler. They go with 7 rebounds.
He is a greedy scorer in traffic, and you like that as a post guy. He gets about 40% of his points from the free throw stripe. If you're on scholarship at this level, that's the goal you shoot for.
We approach 5 minutes. And if you're just joining us, you have missed one heck of a ball game. 6-point NC State lead. And now we have 5 minutes to play on their home floor. They have not won a home conference game this year. First, the only team in the ACC with that statistic. Costner missed a 3. Wes Miller and Bobby Frazier back in there in the backcourt. A couple of guys that started most of last year. Some veteran leadership off the bench for North Carolina. Hansbrough thought about the shot on the outside and now gives it up.
Roy Williams going without a couple of hosses right now. Ty Lawson, Brandon Wright.
Miller's a big-time three-point shooter. Shows Frazier. He'll cast it from there and missed it. Out of bounds to North Carolina.
It's McCauley time now, I think, if you're NC State. You've gotten to 4 and change in this ball game, and 34 and White, I think, is ready to check back in.
He doesn't have the towel wrapped around his neck anymore, does he? I think he's letting his coach know that. And Sidney Lowe is biding a few more seconds away here. This will probably be the last possession that he won't have McCauley, as he's probably waiting for the TV timeout under 4 minutes.
And didn't want to put him in right now because NC State on defense. And you're trying to get one more possession out of this game before you come back with what you call your horse in McCauley.
And a whistle and a foul before the move by Brandon Wright. That will stop play, and that will be it on Dennis Horner. So either way, McCauley's coming back in. Well, it's all down at 3:58. I don't think you want to go anywhere.
And if you can't get up and go, just remember to watch on ESPN. Any game you can see it there. Front row seats, next best thing to be in.
We're under 4 minutes. 3:58 remaining in regulation. North Carolina State leading. And McCauley is back in for the Wolfpack. Brandon Wright at the free throw line. That's a big one for Brandon Wright, who I mentioned earlier is not the greatest free throw shooter in the world. But today, 2 out of 3.
McCauley's back in for NC State. Ty Lawson's back in for North Carolina. So the speed guard, number 5 in Carolina blue, now has a chance to impact this ball game.
Lead down to 4. And we're under 4 to play in regulation. Here's a trap on Atzer. Trying to get rid of the ball. Hansbrough comes up with a steal. Hansbrough all the way and slams it.
I talk about him playing defensively in a guard's stance. Here's a guy 6'10", gets out and actually double teams the ball at the timeline and then rips it to the other end. That's very rare.
That might be the game changer right there, although the Wolfpack clinging now to a 2-point lead. They led by 10 in this half.
And again, that wasn't a skill play by Hansbrough. It was a my will is better than your will type play.
McCauley cross courts it. Fells is going to try a 3. Got it! Courtney Fells with 20. None bigger than that one. Rebound, McCauley. Under 3 to go.
Brad, I watched NC State for 2 hours yesterday, and they practiced with an attitude of, we know we can win this ball game, and that's so important. North Carolina, they beat a lot of folks when they step off the bus. NC State has not bought into that so far in this game.
Courtney Fells has matched his career high as Hansbrough hits the deck with his 4th foul.
Boy, it's a no-brainer when you watch this kid Hansbrough play in high school as far as does he love to compete, does he love to play hard. Look at his face, his determination, his drive. And that's such a hard thing to figure out in recruiting, but watch this kid in high school. It was a no-brainer. You knew Tyler Hansbrough loved to play the game with passion.
McCauley at the stripe. He's missed his last 2 free throws and 3 of the last 4.
Gets down now free throw shooting to how tough you are.
North Carolina State clinging to a 5-point lead, having led by as many as 10 in this second half. And McCauley, who had foul trouble, got 1 of 2 from the stripe. Tyler Hansbrough's on the North Carolina bench with 4 fouls. It's coming down to the last 2.5 minutes here in the ACC. Lawson scoring on the inside, and that's a career high for Ty Lawson.
And that's why you put him back in the ball game if you're Roy Williams at the 4-minute mark. His speed is something that NC State cannot match up with the lineup they have on the floor.
So Lawson's got a career high for Carolina. Fells has got a career high for NC State for the 209th time. These two teams have played for 94 years, and this is one of the better ones we've seen in a long time.
Atzer better get that ball in his hands.
Fells hangs in the air, in and out. And the rebound comes off to Deion Thompson.
And Atzer did not get a touch in that half-court possession. NC State comes up empty. That's how important number 14 in white is.
Lawson leaves it for Ellington. Ellington penetrates, and before the pass, he's fouled. And the foul is going to be on Gavin Grant. We have an upset already as Bob Huggins' team picks off number 23 Texas in Austin. Do we have another one brewing here? 4-point NC State lead. North Carolina State led by 2 at halftime after having a 9-point lead at one stage in the first half. They led 65-55 in this half. North Carolina with one of their freshman backcourt men, Wayne Ellington, at the free throw line.
North Carolina in that group with Florida, Wisconsin, Ohio State, UCLA, Texas A&M, Kansas, that have so far played their way into a possible #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They cannot afford to stub their toe here, not with Duke twice on their remaining schedule and at Boston College.
North Carolina takes a timeout. Gives us a chance to tell you about our KFC 3-point bucket storyline today, and the best of it has gone over 50% for North Carolina State. 8 out of 15 from outside the arc. And North Carolina 4 of 12. It's been Courtney Fells for the most part for North Carolina State. He has 4 threes in the ball game. He's the leading scorer, and he has matched his career high that he set earlier this year against Wake Forest with 20 points. 6 straight times they've beaten NC State. You got to go back 4 years the last time they lost. They have won 5 straight, and 17 of their last 18 has the Tar Heels coming into this game, and they're ranked number 3 in the country, and they were hoping to move up to number 2 courtesy of a loss by Wisconsin, but that's just hanging by a thread now because NC State has led most of this game, and they lead by 2 with 1:45 to go.
You trust McCauley and Atzer with a basketball in their hands right now if you're NC State. The other guys are a little shaky.
Miller's on Atzer. He's right in his hip pocket. Here's McCauley.
See McCauley face up and sweep that basketball, get the pressure off of him. That's why you can trust him.
Got Brandon Wright on him. Fells gives it up to Atzer. Looks up at the shot clock with 15. The game clock now with 1:22.
This is the tempo that NC State has played for 39 minutes. That's why they have the lead with this type of offense.
Costner's pushed by Rayshon Terry, and he's gone. Second player to foul out, 1 for each team. Not only that, stops the clock, resets the shot clock in case it comes to that, and back comes Tyler Hansbrough into the fray. Terry's gone. North Carolina has the top spot. They're the only 20-win team in the ACC. But it's in very much danger because their arch rivals from Raleigh here on their home floor trying to win their first ACC home game. The only team in the conference that has not won one on their home floor. And this is the midway point of the ACC season right here.
I think you're watching the 2 deepest leagues, in my opinion, are the ACC and the SEC. Those teams hanging around that 5th and 6th spot in both of those conferences are very strong ball clubs.
The ACC with 8 teams ranked in the top 40 RPI-wise this week. And Costner got them both. 2 big free throws for Brandon Costner. We're down to 1:10 to play. Brandon Wright pull up with a left hand. Big shot. Timeout North Carolina.
Had to hit a shot against that conservative man-to-man defense of NC State, making you make plays over the top of them. We've talked about it throughout this ball game. My alchemy to how to defeat North Carolina. Stop the game. You've got to get to the free throw stripe. You've got to use your timeouts wisely. Turnovers, throw them out of bounds as opposed to transition points. NC State has done that. Have a football approach. In a football game, a high-powered offense, you want to keep them on the sidelines. NC State has done that today to North Carolina by making North Carolina work defensively. NC State's best defense today, Brad, so far has been their offense. And they have made North Carolina work. And the other thing is, negate UNC. You have to know you can beat North Carolina and not think you can. North Carolina State has played this game like we know we can knock off the Tar Heels.
The North Carolina freshmen average 45 points a game. There's what they've done so far today. Almost amazingly, North Carolina from last year's team has 80% of their scoring back, and yet their freshmen score 50% of their points this year. That's how deep they are.
And when's the last time 3 freshmen started on a national championship team? You and I have been talking about it for 24 hours. We haven't come up with one yet.
We found a couple. Well, Carmelo Anthony and Jerry McNamara from Syracuse. That's the most we can find was 2. We're under a minute. Atzer with the ball in his hand. That's where North Carolina State wants it. And finally, the push foul on Wes Miller will send Atzer to the free throw line, where he's 5 for 5 today and 10 out of 13 for the year.
Sidney Lowe, the past 23 years, has been in the professional ranks either as a player or a coach. So that timeout, he goes to a set play, which the NBA is a set play league. And the set play was designed for Atzer and McCauley to be the only 2 guys to handle the basketball. It ends up with Atzer on the free throw stripe.
Sidney Lowe, whose jersey's in the rafters. This would be the biggest feather in his first-year cap if this thing holds up.
By calling set plays, Sidney Lowe can now determine who touches this basketball the remaining 47 seconds.
Atzer 7 straight free throws in this half. 4-point game, 45 seconds to play. NC State trying to pull a major upset over their arch rivals from Chapel Hill. Brandon Wright spinning in the paint. Short with a shot. Rebound comes off to Grant. Grant's got it.
You better pick it up.
And they foul him in the corner in front of the NC State bench.
Brad, when NC State won at Virginia Tech on Wednesday, they talked about it in the locker room. They said, we just pulled off something that North Carolina could not do this year. And Sidney Lowe carried that momentum, just a little bit of confidence he found out of that victory and carried it over into practice yesterday. And NC State came to this ball game knowing they can win this game.
How much would they give it? I just saw Gavin Grant kind of smack himself on the back of his calf as if to say, don't cramp up on me now. He goes to the free throw line.
Got to get his legs into this shot. Been on that floor a long time.
He missed it.
Didn't do it. Shot it stiff-legged and shot it flat because of it.
That's the first one he's missed today. Grant, a junior out of the Bronx, played at St. Raymond's High School. Same high school as Julius Hodge, who was an All-American here. And he missed both. The door is open for the Tar Heels, but they trail by 4. 2-possession game. Final 22 seconds. Ellington misses a 3. Wright keeps it alive. Ellington will try another one. Missed again. Rebound, Costner. Walk to the other end for the free throws. These are the biggest of the game.
Sidney Lowe only beat North Carolina once as a player for NC State. He would love to get his second win against the Tar Heels, and he's 14 seconds away.
Tell you what, he wins this game, he might never take that red sport coat off.
Got the Bruce Pearl thing working.
Costner's 5 out of 7 from the stripe today, a 68% free throw shooter. 14 points for Brandon, and a great all-around game, including a couple of block shots. That is 3 straight missed free throws.
You have to be tough enough, Brad. Not skilled enough, tough enough to finish off a ball game right now from that free throw strike.
Remember, Carolina's got 2 timeouts remaining. It's going to be a 2-possession game whether he makes or misses this. And he got it. 15 for Costner. 82-77. Final 15 seconds. Here comes Lawson.
Just do not foul if you're NC State.
Long three. Lawson doesn't get it. Rebound McCauley. And now Fells has got it in the front court. They're trying to foul him, and they do with 5 seconds left.
And all the talk all day long about NC State only plays with a six-pack. And North Carolina brings a case and a keg and a barrel full and all that. NC State never bought in to not believing they can win this basketball game.
The problem with the six-pack that North Carolina didn't know, but they do now, they're all long necks. And that goes farther.
Oh, and if they just made free throws, this thing would be certainly over at this point.
Would have already been in the books. Courtney Fells for a career high, and he's got it at 21 points. Lawson will have it, but it won't matter. North Carolina State is upset number 3, North Carolina.
Hold on, partner.
First year of coaching at his alma mater for Sidney Lowe than what just transpired. The Wolfpack go to 3-5 in the ACC, 13-8 overall. Jimmy Dykes is out on the floor right now with several thousand of his closest personal friends. And not only that, there's going to be a very big smile on the head coach of the Wolfpack here in a minute. They're trying to get a camera over to Jimmy. They're trying to get a camera over to Sidney Lowe. Engenatzer and Ben McCauley are the heroes. Hey, Jimmy, go ahead.
This camera right up here. Sid, you come into this ball game with a lot of momentum from Virginia Tech. How important was it to know you could win this game?
It was very important. You know, our kids have been busting their tails all year long. You know, we've been missing Ingen for a long time, and we got him back. We went in. Virginia Tech played a great game, and I just think that they built off of that, just the confidence factor.
Defensively, you take Engenatzer off of their point guard and protect him. What went into that decision for you?
Well, you know, my staff and I, we talked about it, and we thought they would try to do some things against us. And, you know, England is pretty clever guarding actually bigger guys, and so we wanted to change up, put Courtney Fells, and let him guard Lawson for a while.
In your mind right now, what's the biggest reason you won this basketball game?
Guts. Just guts. Pure guts. The guys dug out. They stayed in it. They didn't panic. We executed down the stretch.
Hey, Ingen, come here, buddy, if you can hear me. 70% on that hamstring. How did that affect you in this ball game on the offensive end?
Well, I wasn't as quick as I'm used to be, but I just tried to give my best and just made my teammates better and calm them down on offense and give the ball to the right people. That's what I try to do.
I talked about you being the tempo setter and the general on the floor. You're now 7-2 this year when you have this uniform on. How can this NC State ball club now continue to climb up that ladder with you on the floor?
I think there's nothing to stop us. We have a good basketball team. We have young guys. They're hungry. I mean, I'm just trying to stay healthy and have a great season. That's our goal.
All right, Ingen. Hey, buddy, come here real quick. You're playing against maybe the most toughest guy in college basketball, Tyler Hansbrough. You matched that toughness today. How did you do that?
I just wanted to play hard. I was up for the challenge, and I've been working hard all year, and I just felt like if I came out here and did what I know how to do, then we could come out with the victory. And sure enough, we did that, and it's a great win for us.
I saw you pounding your head and talking to yourself when you went to the bench with 4 fouls. What thoughts were going through you when you had to sit there for about 3 minutes?
I mean, I was a little frustrated with myself, but I knew my team was going to come up big, and sure enough, they did. They got the lead up to 10, even 11 at one point, and I was just so proud of my team, and it's amazing. It's awesome.
I think it's going to be a party tonight in Raleigh, Brad Nessler.
I think you're right, Jimmy Dykes. This is the 4th-ranked opponent in the last 6 games for NC State, and they've beaten the last 2, 83-79. They upset number 3, North Carolina. That's going to wrap it up for us. For our crew, Jimmy Dykes, I'm Brad Nessler. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Let's send it to Carl Ravitch back in the studio.
Sidney Lowe, a winner. Don't forget, primetime ABC, the world's greatest sports bloopers. It's followed by the comedy film Anchorman. I'm Carl Ravitch. Thanks for watching college basketball on ABC.
This has been a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.